समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Like from Russia with love, perhaps, the intelligence officer thought. The story of the improbably good-looking Kashmiri prisoner sitting before him belonged in a movie. Found to possess a highly romantic disposition, the prisoner's dossier later recorded, and was carrying on with 3 different girls. His taste in girls was fairly cosmopolitan, the dossier went on, inasmuch as one of these girls was Muslim, the other Hindu, and the third Buddhist. His tastes were extravagant and his living expensive. With all these traits in his character, it was perhaps inevitable that he should ultimately find himself in the twilight world of espionage. Last week, as President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire in the savage skirmish between India and Pakistan, he vowed to work to see if after 1,000 years a solution can be arrived at. Even though most have dismissed Trump's idea as a meaningless thought bubble, the words weren't casual. For generations, it's largely forgotten, American presidents have sought to forge India-Pakistan peace and make both countries allies in the containment of the People's Republic of China. The most thoroughgoing American effort to mediate peace, which ran from 1961 to 1965, set a bizarre set of characters into motion. The flamboyant playboy spy Mia Ghulam Sarwar, who I told you about right at the beginning, his team of highly trained covert operatives, the Pakistan intelligence services, generals and diplomats from India, Pakistan, the United Kingdom and the United States. Like a nuclear chain reaction, all these elements would gather immense energy, eventually triggering a full-scale war. For India, Pakistan and Trump himself, the story should provide some reasons for caution. Led by its representative at the United Nations, Philip Noel Baker, the UK had thrown its weight behind Pakistan in the negotiations that followed the Kashmir War of 1947-1948. To the UK, Pakistan seemed to be a critical ally to protect against the southward advance of Soviet communism. To this end, Noel Baker sought to build a great power consensus around allowing Pakistan to continue pumping state-backed irregulars into Kashmir and installing a new administration, then holding a plebiscite under United Nations authority. George Catlett Marshall, then United States Secretary of State, recognized the biases in Noel Baker's proposals and pushed back. The United States, however, conceded the UK's primacy in the affairs of its former colonies. The United Nations Security Council resolution adopted on the 21st of April 1948 didn't go quite as far in Pakistan's favour as Noel Baker sought, but was distinctly tilted. Then, in 1950, the United Nations representative on Kashmir, Owen Dixon, proposed handing over the Muslim-majority parts of the region to Pakistan. The proposals were rejected by both India and Pakistan, though, for different reasons. The pressure on India to accept the UK-led proposals, however, continued to grow. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, historian Navneeta Chadda Behra recalls, now decided to dig his heels in and, I quote, not give an inch. He would hold his ground even if Kashmir, India and the whole world went to pieces. From 1948 to 1957, the Security Council debated the Kashmir dispute 18 times but was unable to persuade the two countries to reach a settlement. The UK got the ceasefire it wanted, thus ensuring India would not push west and go to war again. Like other would-be mediators though, they would learn peacemaking in Kashmir was a fool's errand. Late in 1958, Field Marshal Ayub Khan staged a coup d'etat in Pakistan, banned all political activity in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and smugly proclaimed the biggest weapon of a politician is his tongue, which we've controlled, I think things are going to be quiet for a while. From declassified diplomatic cables, it's clear that India was somewhat less than enthusiastic about this military coup, fearing that the hawkish statements by Field Marshal Khan were a warning of war. An Indian general who knew Ayub in the pre-partition army commented that Ayub is inclined to take precipitate action without thinking of consequences, the cable records. To the UK and the US though, the rise of martial law seemed like a good opportunity to peacemake. Finally, there was an authoritarian ruler who could brush aside political objections to a compromise on Kashmir. Now, all they needed to do was get India on board. Ever since the autumn of 1961, Central Intelligence Agency officer turned diplomat Robert Comer had been floating ideas for an India-Pakistan bargain on Kashmir. A common air defense system, a customs union, and even joint management of agriculture in Punjab might do the trick, he hoped. Perhaps New Delhi could be persuaded to give up, I quote, a little bit more wasteland in Ladakh and some minor territorial concessions along the ceasefire of 1948. Perhaps, who knew, there could even be something he called joint tenancy in the Kashmir Valley. There was little attention paid to Comer's ideas until 1962, when the China-India war drew the US directly into the region. America began providing military assistance to a desperate India. Late in 1962, Duncan Sandys, the United Kingdom Secretary of State for Commonwealth Relations, and Averell Harriman, the United States Assistant Secretary of State for Far Eastern Affairs, were dispatched to discuss long-term military cooperation. Even though India was determined to concede nothing on Kashmir, the need for Western arms brought massive pressure to bear on the government. Indian Foreign Minister Sardar Swaran Singh and his Pakistani counterpart at the time, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, finally made their way to the negotiation table in 1962. From the beginning, the talks got off to a very bad start. Just one day before negotiations began, Pakistan made an agreement on demarcating its borders with China, which would end in the handing over of parts of Kashmir to the People's Republic. Even then, 6 more desultory rounds of dialogue took place between 27 December 1962 and the 16th of May 1963. India proposed drawing a border that would give Pakistan the entire occupied area west and north of the Kashmir Valley, which is pretty much what it had. Islamabad, however, was willing to grant only a sliver of territory in Jammu, the Hindu majority region, to India. To Comer, declassified documents show it became clear that the US pressure on India was having perverse outcomes. I wonder if we aren't doing ourselves a disservice by our continued pressure on Kashmir, he wrote in a 14 May 1963 note. In another 22 October 1963 memorandum, he noted the Pakistanis, I quote, appear to be deliberately building up tensions over Kashmir. Comer believed that all the talk of Indian concessions on Kashmir were engendering, I quote, a dangerous Pak emotional reaction. The longer we nurture Pak illusions, Comer told the then US President John F. Kennedy, the more a head of steam is built up in Pakistan and the harder such a reaction will be to head off. Comer proved prescient. The memoirs of Lieutenant General Gul Hassan Khan, the last commander-in-chief of the Pakistan Army, revealed that around this time he authorized, I quote, intensification of the firecracker type of activity that was already current, a reference to the kind of terrorism, low-grade terrorism that Pakistan was using in Kashmir. The Pakistanis began to train guerrillas like Mia Ghulam Sarwar, yes, the playboy, who would be tasked with, I quote, arming the locals and helping them rise against the Indian Army of Occupation. Then, on 29 August 1965, Pakistan's Army Chief General Muhammad Musa received secret orders to initiate a full-scale war. As a general rule, the orders read, Hindu morale would not stand for more than a couple of hard blows delivered at the right place and the right time. War fell over Kashmir like fresh snowfall. Mia Ghulam Sarwar's secret cells tore up the leaves of the Quran and scattered them around the Roza Bal Ziyarat in Srinagar in an effort to spark an insurrection. In the small village of Wutligam, a woman charged with promiscuity was marched to the village square and shot through the back of her head. In Arigam, jihadists looted a grocery store owned by a Hindu called Rajnath. In Arizal, they tried to assassinate the pro-India politician Ghulam Qadir. And everywhere in Kashmir, Pakistani forces fought the Indian army. But Hindu morale did not collapse. Kennedy's mediation effort had led Pakistan to sharpen its sword, not beat it into a plowshare. And failure, if we look through history, became a pattern. Bill Clinton's offer to mediate Kashmir during his election campaign in 2000 laid the path for the 2001-2002 showdown between India and Pakistan. Barack Obama's 2008 promise to mediate Kashmir similarly emboldened a pattern of escalated support for jihadists that would culminate in the horrors of 26/11. True, India shares the blame. Trump's Kashmir fixation, though, is no casual impulse. He aims to succeed, as in so many other things, where American greats like Kennedy and Obama failed. In 2020, Trump outraged India's foreign policy establishment by asserting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had actually asked him to mediate on the Kashmir conflict and then brushed off New Delhi's denial to repeat his claim yet again. For all of this, India needs to introspect. In 1999, in 2001 and 2002, and again in 2019 and now in 2025, it invited superpower intervention after unleashing a military crisis it proved unable to completely control. Likely, history shows us, dangers now lie ahead. India must begin preparing for the price it may have to pay for this self-inflicted foreign peacemaking. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm a contributing editor to ThePrint. Thank you for watching this episode of Security Code.